Hey guys, what's up? It's Isaac here, and today I actually wanted to do a little bit of a comparison and a speed test between the two different Macs. We have a old iMac G5 and my 2014 Retina MacBook Pro. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with this comparison. Okay guys, so how I'm going to do this comparison, I'm pretty much just going to talk about how pretty much every aspect of the device goes on, and just kind of work my way through how it all works. So yeah, pretty much these Macs, of course, they're very different from one another. Of course, this iMac G5 is from 2005, and then this Retina Macbook Pro here is my personal one, and this is from 2014. So it is so they are very different from one another, and it's a lot of it, and they have very different designs, very different operating systems, and very different performance. So that's what I want to see in this video, is just how they compare. So yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at the hardware first. Alright, so getting started with the build quality and the design of both these devices. You can see that the old iMac G5 here is plastic, but it still is a kind of cool, timeless design from when the old MacBooks were not MacBooks, sorry, when the old Macs were in play. Even back in 2005, the MacBook Pro actually didn't even exist. The MacBook Pro came out 1 year later in 2006. So yeah, and then the MacBook Pro here, it's a all aluminum unibody design and all metal enclosure, and it looks much slicker than this old one here. So it's pretty gross, but anywho, but as you can tell, they look so different from one another. And of course, the MacBook Pro, it's a newer design. Of course, both these machines are about 9 years apart. So so they are very different. Hang on 1 second. Let me type them out. Now, of course, the operating systems on here are very different from one another. Taking a look at them here, let's go ahead and go both to About This Mac. About This Mac. So, as you can see, this one is running 10.4.11 with. The iMac G5 is running 10.4.11, which is OS 10 Tiger. So that is a old operating system. It's not even the Intel version. It's the old whatever. I think they used whatever the old processors were before Intel. And then this one, of course, is running 10.13, which is Mac OS High Sierra. So of course this one is running the latest operating system, just presented at WWDC this year. As you can see, this one, this one has a 1.9 gigahertz PowerPC G5 processor with 512 megabytes of RAM, and this one has a 2.8 gigahertz Intel Core i7 with 16 gigabytes of 1600 megahertz DDR3 RAM. And the graphics on here are the NVIDIA GeForce GT with 2 GB, 750M, and Intel Iris Pro graphics at 1536 megabytes. So yeah, hey, I'm not gonna show you the serial numbers for both of them, but anywho, of course these are pretty standard here. So if we go to more info here, you can see that this one has this one does have 512 megabytes of RAM. Well, actually, let's go to the display here, if I can find that. Hello, where's the display? All right, so taking a look at the displays, this one's top resolution is 1440 by 900 resolution, 32-bit color. It looks decent even today. It is an LCD, of course, but it is IPS, but it is still a pretty nice display, even today, at 1440 by 980, but it does not compare to the Retina display on the MacBook Pro. The MacBook Pro here has a 15.4-inch 2880 by 1800 display, and it just looks amazing. Like, it's just it just looks so good. It's such a bright display, such a vivid display. It produces so many colors, so it's really a beautiful display. Not saying this is a bad display at all. It actually is. Even today, it actually doesn't look too bad, but it does not compare to the Retina display on the MacBook Pro. And pretty much no MacBook besides the newer MacBook Pros and the 12-inch MacBook compared to this MacBook Pro right here. Of course, the new MacBook Pro has a lot of more features than this old one here. Yeah, so taking a look at memory here, of course it's only 512 megabytes here, and taking a look at the power, and taking a look at stuff like now, actually, hang on. Alright, so sorry for the noise going on outside. There's construction going on towards my street, but let's take a look at the ports here. So neither of them really are sacrificing in ports. The iMac here has a headphone jack, whatever that port is right there. I think it's like a color stream port or something. And then it has 3 USB ports as well as 2 FireWire ports, an Ethernet port, and a display out port. So you're really not sacrificing in ports here. And then of course it has all the necessary things for like iMovie, Final Cut Pro, anything you need to like edit. If you do GarageBand, you need to hook up an amp or something, you can do that. You can do anything with these ports. And the MacBook Pro, it has less ports, but it's really not sacrificing either. Of course you do have to have this charge. You don't have to have it plugged into power, since it does have an internal power supply, except for charging. But other than that, this does have the MagSafe port, which is for charging, and 2 Thunderbolt 2 ports, as well as a full-size USB port and a headphone jack on the left. And on the right, we have another full-size USB port right here, an HDMI port, and an SD card here. So this one does not have an SD card reader, which kind of disappoints me, but honestly, it's not too big of a deal. You can hear the jackhammer outside. It's kind of annoying, but anyway, it's not. These ports, they're really not that bad. And of course, this one also does have a disk port, which the MacBook Pro does not. So that is one thing that you are getting compared to the MacBook Pro here. But nobody really uses a disk port anymore, so I don't see what the point of having one is. So that's that. Alright guys, so now let's go ahead and do a boot up test between both of the machines. I have both of them shut down right now, but let's go ahead and push the power button in 3, 2, 1. Oh wow, so of course it's a super quick boot up on the MacBook Pro here. It's only about 5 seconds, whereas this is still trying to get the display on. Alright, I hear the sound, and I don't know what caps lock is on, but anyways, takes a minute for the display to turn on. There we go. As you can see, it takes a little bit of time for it to analyze OS 10, as it does have an older processor, so it takes a good while. But as you can see, booting it up here, that old style boot up compared to High Sierra here. Hopefully my MacBook Pro doesn't die. It's only at 16% battery. But anywho, let me go and enter the passwords, and I'll be right back. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the standard applications here. So some of these standard applications, of course, you get Finder, which is your folder organized system. I don't know what I was saying there. You also get Safari, which is your primary browser, unless you like to download a third-party browser like Chrome, Firefox, or anything like that. Or even Opera, but don't use Opera. But and then you also have your mail, of course, your iTunes. iTunes is way different. All these applications are way different than they are now on the MacBook Pro, and you don't get things like Siri on the iMac. You don't get, of course, Siri wasn't around then. That wasn't around until around 2011, and it just came to the Mac last year. So, yeah, and you also don't get stuff like iCloud, photo sharing, FaceTime. You get this old thing called iChat instead of FaceTime, which is really weird. The iPhone never used iChat when it came out. Of course, it didn't have a front-facing camera until the iPhone 4. So, yeah. If you go ahead, so let's go ahead and take a look at how these applications look compared to today. So starting with Finder, on here, as you can tell, it looks super like old and kind of that old design. And then taking a look at here on the MacBook Pro, it has that kind of new transparent design. You've seen this around since Yosemite. Get that to focus in there. There we go. But as you can see, it looks much sleeker on here. And on here, if I go and zoom in a little bit, you guys will probably be able to see it a little bit better. You can see that it's a lot, that it is quite different. Sorry for the shakiness. My camera's I'm holding my camera on the tripod, so yeah. But as you can see, it looks a lot different. If I go and zoom out here, let me do that. That's not zooming out. But anywho, of course, both these machines do have Safari. So if we go ahead and, oops, I hate that how all my windows just go to the corner automatically, which is really annoying. But yeah, anywho, let's go ahead and launch Safari on both these machines. So starting with the iMac here, of course, it has that bounce animation, and the MacBook Pro. It's very quick to load. Sorry, I can't verify the identity. I really don't care. Come on. What else is annoying? Oh my god. Let's go ahead and go to Google. But taking a look here, as you can tell, both these Safari windows look extremely different from one another. Of course, on here on the MacBook Pro, it's got the new Safari 11, and of course it has things like autoplay blocking and articles and stuff, and it also has the intelligent tracking prevention. That has none of that here. Of course, it has a pretty standard design of Google, but taking a look at it here, it does not have anything like the new Safari window design. It doesn't. You can't even put this in a full screen window like you can on the MacBook Pro. So that seems a little bit disappointing. But yeah. And of course, it really. If we load a couple different websites, let's go ahead and load apple.com here. If we go ahead and load that on here too, I have this on one of my pinned sites. As you can see, it takes about 2 seconds to load it on here. As you can tell, it's up and running the web page in under 10 seconds. As you can tell, it's got the iPhone 8, iPhone 10, Apple Watch Series 3, Apple TV 4K, all that. So, yeah. And as you can tell on here, it's got just a list of stuff here. It's really an old design. It looks fairly new, but it's such a list. So it's because it's kind of an encrypted design. So it doesn't really take into the whole design. Of course, it's not ready for that. So yeah. And of course, if we go, let's go ahead and load a couple other sites. Let's go ahead and load YouTube here. So if I go ahead and click YouTube on here, and if I go ahead and load it over here, oh no. So as you can tell on here, it just loads it right here, and then right here, as you can tell, oops, your browser is depreciated. So even though I'm using Safari, and well, I can't get the latest because yeah, so that kind of sucks, but and I can't get Chrome on here because Chrome wasn't around when this came out, so yeah, and I can't get the newest Firefox. Firefox sucks anyways, so but yeah, as you can tell, oops. But anyways, let's go ahead and load a few other websites. Let's go ahead and load goodcarbadcar.com. So it takes a few seconds to load, and then we're gonna type it in here. Good car. Badcar.net. As you can tell, it loaded actually kind of quick, but it's not. But it doesn't take into the whole consideration the new design and everything. Of course, it's not very. Of course, it doesn't have all that kind of stuff. But anyway, if we go ahead and load some other websites, let's go ahead and load IIHS.org. Go ahead and do that. Oops. IIHS.org. See how fast it loads this. Wow, it actually loads the entire brand new layout, so that's pretty nice. It didn't look too bad and actually fully loaded it, but as you can tell, it doesn't take the whole new Flash thing and stuff in HTML5, but let's go ahead and load some other websites. Like, let's go ahead and load NHTSA. NHTSA.gov. So, loading NHTSA here, as you can tell, it's just it loaded it pretty quick on the iMac even, which is pretty nice. Let's go ahead and load. searchquery.com. This is for like car VINs and stuff. Of course, Safari can't open the page because it couldn't establish a secure connection to the server, but anywho, let's go ahead and load, eBay. So of course, loading eBay on there, it's pretty standard. If I load eBay on here, ebay.com. Continue. As you can tell, it's a super old design of eBay. It's not even the new design, so yeah, a little bit disappointing there, but I mean, it's 2005, so I shouldn't really get disappointed. And then let's go ahead and load one last website. Let's go and load AT&T.com. So as you can tell, so it just changed their security policy, which kind of sucks. But anyways, so that's it for the browser tests. So let's go ahead and close that out. Close you out. If you can get the mouse over there. There you go. And then let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other apps. So let's go ahead and take a look at Photo Booth. So if I go to Finder here, applications, and of course it has that flying dashboard thing, which is really annoying. But if I go and load Photo Booth here, as you can tell, and then if I go ahead and load it on here, you can see the cameras, they're pretty different. This one is super dark. This one is just perfect light. Of course, it takes into consideration of the light a little bit better. This one's a 1080p FaceTime HD camera, and this one's a really old, I think like 480p, but pretty similar to the 12-inch MacBook, which, yeah. Ooh, 9%, that's not very good. So, I think that might wrap up this comparison a little bit, but let's go ahead and take a picture in Photo Booth on both of them. And on here. So it did have that kind of extra flash there, but as you can see, on there, it is a little bit different there, and on there, as you can tell, it's very dark. But it did add a little light because I did have the screen flash, just like my iPhone. But yep. Oh wow, 6%. Okay, so that's gonna wrap up this comparison here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, smash that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it if you did that, and don't forget to subscribe down below. We're almost at 200 subscribers, so if you could do that, that'd be good. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.